Okay. Hi, James. Thank you for joining us. Coach Jake White, the floor is open.
Jake, my apologies. I haven't seen the team yet. I'm looking, I'm sure it's out somewhere. Will you just run us through the team itself, please?
Okay, look, I mean, the front row is Lizo, and then there's Kalki Rasmus and Orne Smith, front row, and then Walt and Ruan back at lock together, and then obviously Ulrich, Marcel Kutsia, and Miller Ace are going to be the back row. Then we've got Zach and Johan Goosen. Centers are Harold and Cornell. Cornell goes back to 12. And then we've got Madosh on the right wing. Left wing is Stedman Gans, and fullback is Creel. And then on our bench, we got Dlamini, a tight head prop, who's getting his debut game. Then we've got Jan Hendrik Wessels at hooker, which I'm quite looking forward to seeing on the bench. And then we've got Simpiwe at loosehead. Lock is Janku Swanepoel. Loose forwards Arno Botha. We've got Keegan Johannes. Sabongile Novuka, who played last week on the wing as a backup utility back, and then Chris Smith as a reserve 10.
Give us the reasoning behind your midfield. I mean, Cornell back in.
Jan, so we had obviously I was looking forward to playing that combination of Harold and Lionel Mapu together. Lionel sort of just got a little bit of a tweak in his hip, so it was one of those. I didn't really want to risk him with the amount of rugby we're going to play now. We're going to play Friday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday. I just thought that it's a bit too much, rugby for a guy like him if he's not 100% right. So it gives me a chance to move Cornwall back to 12, try him with Harold, and then Madosh, who's come back from an injury, obviously gets back into the right wing position. And then Stedman, who was away at the sevens, I also need to bring him in. I mean, there's nothing to stop us maybe during the game or maybe next week to go Cornwall and Stedman, who've played together as well. So we'll just have a look. I'm trying a couple of different things, and they're all good rugby players. So now I see how that combination looks.
Going into the second half of the season now, how important is this trip to Durban, and how important is bringing points home?
Jan, it's I just said to the boys now, I just had a meeting with them. It's when you're playing a team that that will Currie Cup finalists. I mean, they're also the top of the log. They're one of the top teams in the competition. Now those are the games you want to win, because it's almost like an 8-point swing. It's not so much that you just get the 4. It's also you deny them of catching up or staying close to each other. So it's the same for them, I'm sure. So yeah, I mean, it's we have been successful coming to Durban. We did beat them last time we were here convincingly. So hopefully we'll keep that trend going.
Jack, I suppose that it's now a question of managing your players as thoroughly as possible with a crunch time coming in. You've alluded to that many weeks ago for many times.
Yeah, Simon, and I'm sure I'm not sure if you guys get to see the fixtures, but literally Currie Cup final, then a week off. I think there's a Carling Invitational game. So some of our players probably involved in that. Then the next weekend, first round of the United Rugby Championship. So, I mean, we're going to go from where we are now straight into another competition, literally a week off for some guys. As I said, some will play. And then we go straight into another competition. And that competition goes, I think, for about 7 or 8 weeks before you get a break. Maybe even more, maybe 9 or 10 weeks before you get a break. So, it's not just about managing them now at the back end of the Currie Cup. It's about managing them in the next, I suppose 2-3 months. And that's why when you can try different things, I mean, not always going to have Harold and Lionel. You're not always going to have Cornell and Stedman Gans. You're not always going to have the same front row. I mean, Grobbies has now left us and gone into the national duty. So it gives us a chance to see Jan Hendrik at hooker. And it gives us a chance to see him in a front row with a guy like Dlamini, who gets his first game. So, it's all about, as you say, trying to find some depth managing, rotating, and having a look at if one combination doesn't work or if one combination is not available, then what do you do, in terms of selection going
So
forward?
just to follow on that, you've made mention of Grobby's. Just use the hookers as in an example. I suppose that this is a real test for you as a coaching team as well. You have to have your players firing on all cylinders because of that reason that you've said. They could easily be called up. I mean, there's a lot of people that I can see here that could be in an extended Springbok team sometime or another.
Yes, exactly that, Simon. I mean, I'm looking at, if Jan Goosen goes in, will our backline still be okay? Who's going to play 10? If Cornel Hendricks gets called up, and I'm just using names because their names have been mentioned in the past, what happens from the center combination, so then it gives me a chance to try that. And Grobby is a very good example. He's been the form hooker. He's played really well for us. And now by default, it forces our hand to get a hooker. We got Joe van Zyl injured. He comes back soon. Sydney Tobias is injured. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks still. So that means you've got to find a hooker. And then Simon, what gives me confidence is that we didn't decide yesterday he's going to play hooker. He's been throwing, he's been playing, he's been trading together with a group. He's been scrumming with a group week in and week out, same as Glamini, and I'm using them as an example. It wasn't like we decided this week he was going to play. Those guys have all been coached, in the groups that they've been in, extended groups. Like in case we've got to a situation where we have to start playing them, and now as with Grobby's case, we have to play the second hooker, and the second hooker is Jan Hendrik.
Jake, like you've mentioned previously, you embrace, producing Springboks and stuff. Congrats by the way, on your latest Springbok. Just on Grobby's, Jake, what has stood out for you in the past few months? I mean, like you've mentioned, he has been the form hooker. It's just, soos hulle sê in Afrikaans, hy het net 'n bar show gespeel die afgelope paar maande. What is the skill set that he would bring, to the national cause? What excites you about him, as a coach?
Hans, I think the most important thing, if I think about Grobby, I just think about work rate. I think that the one thing he's incredible around the field, the way he carries, the way he goes into breakdowns, his defensive tackles that he makes, just generally his work rate. I think his point of difference is that he's extremely fit. And likes to be involved in the game at all times, So, I think when you look at Springboks, Doc Craven always used to say, you've got to have a point of difference. You've got to do something that someone else can't do, whether you're the biggest, the tallest, the quickest, the shortest, whether you're as I said, the most skillful, there's something that you bring to the team. And I think the one thing he does to us is he has an incredible amount of energy. And his work rate is phenomenal.
Jake, sorry if you've been asked this, joined a bit late, but just in terms of your centers and your back three, there's Stedman at wing. Just your thinking around that and what he can contribute, in what shape is he in?
Yeah, so I did in the beginning. So the centers, Lionel Mapu's just got a little bit of a twinge on his hip. There's nothing too serious. Obviously we did some scans. There's nothing too serious. I think it's just more precautionary. We didn't play him. So we moved Cornel back to center. Gives us a chance to put Madosh on the wing, who's come back from injury as well, and was playing really well before he got injured. And then Stedman, I just feel, I spoke to Chris Rousseau, we just feel that his integration into the team, back from being away for us for a while now with the sevens, is probably easier on the wing. So we're going to play him there, and then as I said, nothing to stop us within the game moving him to 13, or maybe next week trying him and Cornel together again, because we know that combination has been quite successful for us in the last couple of months as well. So that's the thinking. That's basically how we got to. We need to get Stedman, and he wants to be part of the team again. He didn't want time off. He wanted to come back and play. So we just felt that wing would probably be the most suited for him in this combination.
And is Kirtley not ready yet?
He also came back. He hurt his ankle in that sevens. Remember, you saw guys here. I think he hurt his ankle. And it's, again, it's not 100%. I think probably by Wednesday he should be all right. We tried him, and he just felt a little bit uncomfortable. I don't think it's, as I said, I don't think it, well, I know it's not anything serious. It's more just needs a little bit more time, I think. So hopefully by Wednesday, we play Griquas at home. Hopefully he'll be back in that fixture.
Jake, just on that, you talked about, depth and managing it, going forward. I'm not particularly interested in time frames. I just wanted to hear, are you confident of having guys like Ambrose Papier and Ruan Combrink, feature sometime during the Currie Cup just to get them match fit for the assignments, ahead?
Yeah, Heinz, so just on those two players, I can give you the feedback. I don't think Ambrose will be available at all for the Currie Cup. I think his injury is, or his return to play somewhere sort of the end of September, beginning of October. So by then the Currie Cup's almost, I think it is done. Yeah, so I don't think he'll feature in any of the Currie Cup games. And then Ruan Combrink, he got COVID, and today was doing something in the gym, and his heart rate was fluctuating up and down. So as soon as we get the green light in terms of his return to normal in terms of his heart, then I'll start putting him in. But at this point in time, it's one of those, I'm not sure how long it's going to take. He had COVID. He sort of looked like he had got through the worst, and then, as I said, today in the gym, his heart rate was going up and down. But them two and others, Jacques du Plessis, and we've got a couple of other guys. We just got to manage them, and even a guy like Sintu Manjesi, I want to try and get him on the field. But as I said earlier, Heinz, it's not just about the Currie Cup. It's about, then we go into 7 or 8 weeks continually into United Rugby Championships. And at this point in time, it's 8 games in a row before we have a break. We're going to need those guys in that competition as well. So yeah, it's I suppose it's a little bit of a moving target for us, Heinz. I'm not really answering your question, but I think the management of that is also influenced by how things pan out from week to week.
No, that's fine. Thanks, Jake.
Back on Dwayne, he didn't make the cutoff on the fitness test, obviously. Is he coming back, or is he remaining there? Or what's the situation with him? They're being in the case.
I'll tell you what actually happened. I left him a message to say, can he please find out from Rassie and from Jacques what the plans are with him? And I'll tell you why. Because he's obviously is needed by them. I mean, the fact that they've tried to really get him involved, which shows that they obviously hold him in high regard. But I just wanted to know from him if he can find out, does he need to play, or would they like him to play 1 or 2 games before he joins the squad, or is he going to go straight into test match rugby? So at this point in time, Simon, I mean, I know they play Argentina next week, and it's the start of Rugby Championships. Are they going to want him to go straight into a test match, or are they going to ask him to come back and play 1 or 2 or maybe 1 game of Currie Cup? So at this point in time, Simon, I'm not sure. He said he will chat to them, and then he'll let me know. So I'll just wait to hear from him what their plans are.
Jake, just in terms of the Sharks team, they've picked quite an interesting backline, in particular with Lionel Cronje at fly-off, your former player in Japan, and Cohen Bosch at fullback. So what are you expecting in that regard?
Ashok, I don't know if I can tell you this, but I heard today that they had 1 or 2 guys test positive for COVID. And I haven't confirmed it yet, but so there will be a couple of changes in their backline as well. But in terms of that selection, I know Lionel very well from Toyota. He played with me, came with me to the Brumbies, so I know him really well. I mean, he's a talented player, and I think that Kerwin playing 15 is dangerous as well. We've seen now in the last couple of weeks how involved he's got from the back. So it is. I suppose it is a combination that most teams are using. If you look at Damian McKenzie playing fullback for the All Blacks, and you look at Barrett playing fullback for the All Blacks, you see that that's a combination that's working more and more with many teams. So to have two 10s that can play and they alternate, Kerwin comes into 10 in multi-phase, is something that I suppose the Sharks will try and exploit against us. But yeah, I mean, it's not something we're not used to. I think we have played against teams that have had, two 10s playing in their backline.
Any more questions, gentlemen?
Jake, I don't know if this question was asked before. Dlamini on the bench, do you think he's ready for this kind of rugby, or this level of rugby already?
Yeah, of course. Look, I obviously do that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put him there. We've been working quite hard with him. You guys would also know, having seen him. I think you were there that night when he played against the Nakabilla course. Is that right? You were there that evening, eh?
Yes, I was.
Anyway, yeah, so I think from then he's, obviously then he got COVID and he was out for a while. So we've been working hard on getting him in. I don't really know when the right time is. You never know which is the right game, but I just felt this week, with Jan Hendrik there at hooker, it's I think it's quite exciting to think if those two guys get on the field together. I think they must be the heaviest front row I suppose in the Currie Cup, definitely. So it'd be nice to see how those two guys work, especially that combination. They've been, training together. It'd be quite nice to see how that combination works, Chris.
Anything else, gentlemen?
I'm good. Thanks. Good luck, Jake.
Reg my kant, dankie.
Thank
Thanks, guys.